this presentation, and you'll find him to be quite knowledgeable and discussing the topic at hand. So he's been focusing mostly all of his career, I think, really on post-acute care, and he'll have a lot of stories to tell, no doubt. Also, I need to state that he has no financial conflicts of interest in this presentation today. So Clint, the floor is yours. But you're on mute.
Please unmute.
There I am. Now I'm ready. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Clint Mound, based in Omaha, Nebraska. It's colder here too. And it's an honor to work with you today on fostering staff confidence and morale. Our company is called Mound Lemke. Myself and a guy named Lemke founded it 30-some years ago. At that time, there was just Mound and Lemke, and I won the quarter flip. That's how it got my name first. And we came out of operations and management and leadership backgrounds in running nursing homes and assisted living and home care and hospice and managing hospitals and a number of different things. And then we started a speaking consulting company. And today we work across the nation, do some international work occasionally too. And our work focuses on this particular topic at hand. And every day we're on, well, today, virtual meetings and group conferences with teams around the country to work on the two major areas that we spend our time on, which is finding and keeping staff and finding and keeping customers, the two problems in this business. And then you add on top of it infection control and safety and pandemic management and all the things you guys do every day. And it's a big opportunity for everybody every day. I will say, to start with, I want you to know as an outside guy how much I truly appreciate what you and your teams have to do every day, even before the pandemic, let alone during this terrible situation. I'm an optimist. I believe we'll get through it. I believe that I'm a believer that there'll be immunizations. I believe that we will move forward from this. I think it changes the world, but I do believe in that, and I'm an optimist in general. I will tell you that, you know, what you do every day is just unbelievable, and you need to tell your coworkers that all the time. That would be the number one thing that would foster staff confidence and morale, is to let them know that you believe in them, you thank them, you appreciate them, and I'm sure you do, but I just want to say that. So I'm going to go through a short presentation here and be happy to entertain questions or commentary or discussion after this on some things that you can immediately do in your home care, hospice, nursing home, assisted living, whatever, to deal with this issue of staff confidence and morale. So if we could take the next slide. I think Mark got conned into moving my slides for me. Maybe, I don't know if that was it. You'll always be ahead if you use teams. I can't tell you how important it is, because we fall for silos in healthcare all the time. Nursing does this, and marketing does this, and therapy does this, and ancillaries do this, and administration do this. Don't fall for that trap. In fact, the government, federal government, and state governments like to cite you based on tags that are silo-related tags. That's a nursing tag, that's a life safety code tag, that's a dietary tag. Don't fall for it. It's our tag, or it's our opportunity, which I'd like to go with, but you'll be ahead if you use teams. We do not do any staff engagements or organizational engagements where we do group team coaching on a daily basis with individual buildings or groups of buildings where we don't put teams at play. We form a super team that's working on the initiative at hand. If it's a staffing fix, getting rid of contract labor, or staffing up the building, or stopping turnover, that kind of thing, or if it's a revenue thing because there's been a depletion of occupancy or census, we use teams. In other words, if you have problems with staff engagement, it's not an HR problem. Do not count on HR to be the sole factor that's going to find you staff, keep you staff, and keep people engaged. That's not true. They're very important, but it's an operational issue, just like marketing. Marketing is not a liaison job, an admissions job, it's a team job, and you have to believe in the use of teams. And I don't care if you're dealing with infection control, setting up COVID observation units, whether you're trying to have customer experience improvements, whether you're doing QAPI, whether you're doing what we work on, which is staffing or revenue, use teams. Don't fall for the trap. So I want to give you some ways why that works to immediately build staff confidence. The only people that don't like that are folks that prefer to be isolated, negative, not necessarily supportive of the goals and efforts, and you can't let the initiative be drained by those folks. And that's few, but don't let the few work over the many. And so teams work. So having said that, let's move to the next slide if we could. So I'm going to give you an immediate way to use teams. Absolutely. If you can put this in place, I don't care if you're a community-based business or a hospice or home care business or a nursing home business, I want you to think about the use of what we call IRs, or instant remedies. Instant remedies. And instant remedies are a different model than the problem exists out in the unit or the department. It's brought to the manager or the supervisor, who takes it to the department head or takes it to the administrator. And then we have the council of elders meet about it. And then we come up with a new checklist policy, audit, in-service, something that will drain the confidence and energy out of the organization. Instead, I want you to use instant remedies, and they're very easy to use. And once you start teaching your management team to use them, then you would want to have in a, let's pretend, 100-bed nursing home, you'd want to have 3 or 4 instant remedies every week. Now, what does that mean, instant remedies, where you also use P=S? Instant remedies means, let's say that we have a problem with the staff believing there's an unfair workload out on a unit, that one nursing assistant or nurse or somebody has a tougher or bigger care load than somebody else. Instead of trying to fix that up the ladder kind of thing, take that problem, go out, take a flip chart with you. You can buy a small flip chart at Home Depot or, Office Depot or Staples or Amazon or whatever. Just buy a small one, take it out, park it at the desk or on the unit in a socially distanced, safe way, and say, here's the problem: unfair workload perceptions. Now, what's the solutions to fix that? And you engage the staff that are right there. If there's 3 or 4 or 5 or however many are right there, just put them in the game and say, let's write down solutions. You will end up with some silly solutions. Somebody might say, well, let's don't have any workload at all. Let's give it all to the new employee. There's a list of possible silly things. Why do we have to work at all? But most people will instantly start offering solutions. You get that thing up there, then you say, all right, which one is the best? You do a quick vote out. This is it, whatever. You circle that one. Let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll go to the next one. Let's say we have a problem between laundry and nursing getting things into the correct gray roller cart to take down to the laundry. Instead of having laundry, take that to the laundry manager or the support manager, and nursing, take it up the chain of ladder and it gets up to the administrator. You need to understand that the best solutions are closest to the problem. So you go back out there, you grab a couple laundry people, a couple nursing people, and go, we have a problem getting stuff into the laundry carts on time. What do we need to do to fix that? Now you have to listen to silly stuff. I'm telling you, let's don't do laundry. Let's fire all the nursing assistants. I mean, you have to listen to, but that goes away over time. And then people start going, let's do this, let's do this. We have clients that use 3, 4, 6, 8, 10 of these a week, instant remedies to fix problem. It engages staff. It tells them you trust them. The best solutions are closest to the problem. Once they own the solution, they'll help implement the solution. It avoids the need to write up giant checklists, in-services, new policies. I mean, we write policies for 2 people who violate stuff instead of moving on with the action. Let's say we have a problem with successful break opportunities for people, then give it back to the team and let's discuss how we have breaks back. So once you use that, you always put in place P=S. If you have a problem, we're going to talk about a solution. So you can't stand here by the flip chart and just bring up more problems. You can't add more tough stuff. You have to talk about solutions. If you use P equals S, it's an unbelievable thing. You ought to be using it at the management meeting in the morning. You ought to be using it at the QAPI. You ought to be using it at your IDT and care plan meetings. You ought to be using it at your huddles. And if you make a decision that you're going to do it, then once you get a solution and it's working, you put it on a scoreboard. I'm going to talk about a scoreboard in just a minute. And you celebrate that we had these 5 people come up with this solution. We got another IR. That's the 5th one of the week. And now we can, you can hand out thank yous and gift cards and bobblehead dolls of the administrator and whatever else you want as prizes and thank yous for this. And now you've got people engaged in a solution-oriented culture that builds confidence, builds morale, and says that we trust you. And it also keeps you from writing up and doing extra silly things that you don't need to do with management trying to fix all the problems. If you want to go into this in more detail, we have 450 some podcasts that are free, like 8-minute doses of Clint. I mean, I realize that sounds like a dream, but 8-minute doses of Clint on audio on clintcast.com. You can go to podcast number 7 and listen to Instant Remedies. You can have that be listened to by your team, and you guys can decide. You can also go see some P equals S policies that have been written by our clients on mountlemke.com, where you go there and they have written actual policies that say we are a solution-oriented culture. We do not bring up problems without talking about solutions. We do not add to problems. We solve problems, and we are a commitment to each other. And you can have people sign off on those policies. They can be part of orientation. So now you've got a way to engage staff instantly on a daily basis. The idea of letting people bring sticky notes to you and leave them on your door, or to bring it up by coming in your office and go, I'm going to tell you something, but I don't want you to tell anybody I told you. You have to stop that stuff. That only creates side conversations and griping and snipping and passive aggressive behavior. And we could spend hours on the psychological ramifications of those things. So that's P equals S, that's Instant Remedies. And you guys can put 5 or 6 of those in play today. Hospice has to partner with the nursing home in many cases. There's sometimes some discussions between hospice and the nursing home about the care of the patient or the care load or who does what. Give it back to the teams to solve the problem. Next slide, please. So we're big believers in scoreboards and rallies. Now, I could spend a lot of time on this, but I don't have a lot of time, and you're going, thank you. And but we're big believers in creating a cultural initiative of whatever we're going to call safety first, rebuilding our staffing. Those are boring names, by the way. Increasing occupancy. So we like team names for these things. We have a client that's trying to deal with Medicare growth in their nursing home, so they called themselves Finding Nemo. Nemo stood for Nurturing and Embracing Medicare Opportunity. So they have a fish theme with snaggers, baiters, trollers, a whole team theme. We have a building that is ran by all ladies. It's called A League of Their Own. It's a team name based off of that Tom Hanks movie and on a women's softball team. We have a team that, so we like team names. These are examples on this one. The scoreboard is as simple as flip charts that are walked around the building, giving the scores every day. This team over here on the left was called the Clark Gables, because the name of the building is the Gables Care Center. So they named themselves the Clark Gables, and their motto is, frankly, we do give a damn. And the home team over here is a baseball team scoreboard with innings pitched and relievers and whatever. You can't read all that on there, but that's what those are. I just threw in a couple of examples. And you use these scoreboards to put up pictures, stories, and numbers to say that we're winning. This many days of COVID-free, this many new hires. Here's a picture of the new nurse we just hired. Here's the rehospitalization rate that we prevented. Here's our census numbers that we just increased to. Here's our staffing openings that we've cut down. Here's our contract labor dollar that we cut in half. You use scoreboards and rallies to excite the people. Only about 3% of the people statistically don't like scoreboards. Everybody else likes them. But you have to have a team name for your overall. And if there is a time when you need a cultural team name for we're going to get through this, we're going to win, we're going to persevere, It's right now. And I wouldn't name it something drastic like beat COVID or, I mean, don't come up with, and for God's sakes, you administrators, don't come up with the team name yourself. I can't tell you how bad it is to have a dictatorship name the team. Don't do that. Make it an engaging thing, get the staff involved. And now I can put up these instant remedies. I can put up the solutions we can do. I can put up stories, graphs, pictures. Scoreboards and rallies are a huge way to bolster because people want to be associated with winners. People want to be associated with winners. You can't tell them you're winning by emails or postings on the bulletin board down by the time clock where you have all that other stuff posted. You know that bulletin board that's got the 800 number for the state and the workers' comp hotline and a picture of a free cat somebody's trying to give away and whatever else. And all that stuff gets hidden. You have to have separate scoreboards. You can have mobile scoreboards like the one on the left or movable scoreboards like the one on the right. But the more you show the team we're winning, the better off you're going to be. Next item, please. So I want to talk to you about identifying and utilizing what we're going to call highly qualified employees. I'm going to call them for this process today with you HQEs. Now, this would be called your talented people in the building. These are your go-to people that actually your hospice, your home care agency, your assisted living, or your nursing home would not be open if these people weren't there. They're the go-to proven people that every day, unbelievable amounts of work and effort. They're talented and we count on them. Unfortunately, we spend our time with the squeaky wheel getting the grease, and these people don't get enough involvement. So I want to show you how to use the highly qualified employees, and this will create an atmosphere in your organization where people go, I'd like to be one of those HQEs too. How do I qualify? Now, if you're following me, I'm going to a process where you earn the right to be an HQE. You get an HQE leather jacket, an HQE cape, leotards, badge. I'm joking. You get HQE prizes and success things. So let's move to the next slide and talk about this. So let's just develop a list of highly qualified employees. Now, I'm making this up for this session. You can make up your own. To be highly qualified in our organization, you have to be there at least 6 months. That doesn't mean people 3 months aren't highly qualified, but we haven't got proof of purchase yet. So 6 months. There's only 2 absences in the last 6 months. There's only 2 tardinesses or less in the last 6 months. They have all required in-services up to date. There's no violations of P equals S, meaning they don't whine, complain, moan, groan. They bring up solutions, not problems. There's documentation of willingness to help at least 2 times in 6 months. They picked up extra shifts, they floated, they got on committees, special projects, something other than just doing their job. They received a positive affirmation at least 1 time in 6 months from a coworker, resident, or family. There's no violations or issues of professional uniform, name tag, PPE, whatever. They meet the expectations for documentation. They have no disciplinary actions or performance improvements in plan that's not been reconciled. That doesn't mean from 5 years ago they had an action, but it was rectified and now they're back in good grace. And they have a great performance review. So there's 3, 6, 9, 11 qualifiers there. Now you can make up your own. So let's say that we have the 11 qualifiers. Now you go through your staff roster and you qualify all the people who hit those standards. Management, non-management, part-time, full-time, supervisors, coordinators, dietary, housekeeping, even contract people, therapists, nurses, nurse aides. And let's say we came up in our organization with 19 people who met the qualifications. 19 people hit these 11 standards. So what do you do with them? Next slide, please. What you do is you have a meeting with them and you bring in some food, some excitement, okay? You have to spend a little money. Maybe go for the actual 6-foot sub or the 3-meat pizza, not your cheese pizza. And you have some excitement and you review the standards that they met. You say to them, you guys are excellent people. We don't tell you that often enough. Frankly, we count on you and we spend our time with problems and we don't ever say to you how great you are. Let me tell you what you've done as a group. You 19 people have 137 years of service in our organization. There are no absences. There's only 3 absences among all of you for the last 6 months. There's no tardinesses. You've willingly changed shifts, floated, picked up stuff, or been on committees or task force 172 times that we can count. That's just what we can count up. You always are in your uniform, your name tag, and your protective gear. You have a performance review of 4.73 on a 5-point scale on average among all of you. You're excellent to people. Now, I'm going to ask you one question, and I brought a flip chart, and I brought my regional people or my board or other dignitaries in here today. And I want to ask you one question. Why do you work for us? Now, I'm going to meet with you again to find out what's wrong with us. But I want to meet with you right now of why you work for us, and you write it down. And they'll tell you things that make you smile, that bring tears to your eyes. They'll tell you things because it's 5 minutes from home. The bus stops right out front. You went to bat for me when I had a sick child 7 years ago, and you helped me with the time off I needed. And my coworkers even gave me some money to help with the financial burden that I had during that time. I like my boss. I love this unit I work. I like the residents because you helped send me back to school. Whatever they tell you, you write it down. And then you ask them, can we use you in our new ad campaign? Because we're going to quit putting stuff in the newspaper and social media and Indeed that says wanted, dozens, we're desperate, we need help, because all that tells the marketplace is don't work there, they're working short. And we're going to instead have ads that say something like, what makes Jill different? Jill works for us because, bullet, bullet, bullet. We like Jill because, bullet, bullet, bullet. If you meet Jill's qualifications and like what she likes, there's one position to work with Jill. And we put those ads out. We put them on postcards. We put them on flyers. We send them out. We market it. And this is how we recruit. And we also build staff confidence. And then I've got some people in the building when I post these HQEs going, how do I become one of these? These are the 11 standards. In 90 days, we're going to review them again. If these people are still in and we can add 7 more, we've got 26. Now we're building our own Mouseketeer Club. And that is based on talent. And that's based on how you recruit. You set up follow-up meetings with them. You have fun at these meetings, and you use these people. They will also help you with P=S. They will help you with instant remedies. They will help you with mentor the new employees. They will help you recruit employees. You can offer them staff referral bonuses to find people. And the reason this works is because we own Jill in our building. Nobody else owns her. Owns a bad term, Jill. But we have the relationship with Jill. And that's our branding. Now, next slide. So you can use HQEs for ads, recruiting, fixing problems. I just said that. And next slide, please. So here's an example of an HQE ad. This one's appropriate with the current pandemic condition. This is Wanda. We have thousands of these things because we work on recruitment retention all day long with clients. We would never go back to weakness-based ads. We go back to coolness. And by the way, the great news about these ads, I get the confidence in the community that we know what we're doing in the building, and I can bust through the image issues that affect post-acute care before the pandemic and even during the pandemic. We're not always loved. People are scared. They don't want to come to us. But I can tell you, they like to go where winners are at. And so this is a sample. We have many others. And then the last slide I believe I have is, so talented co-workers engaged in teams with recognition will foster staff confidence and build morale. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for that powerful start. So yeah, so today we're gonna try to follow this up with maybe some examples of people, what they're doing in their facilities here locally. And I have Trish Medeiros here, and she's a Plaza of Assisted Living. She wants to share some of her initiatives. And we have Jolene Kagayama, wave hi. And she's a Holly Okino, and she really wants to share as well. So we're really eager to hear from you. And then we're going to open up to questions to everybody, okay? Great. Go ahead, Trish. Unmute.
Okay, how's that? Okay. I'm actually going to specifically talk about retaining staff during COVID. We at the Plaza ended up designing a program called Shine, and Shine was set up to be support and strength, honest and open communication, influential, navigate, and effectiveness. And in a sense, what had happened is we started getting all those nightmare stories from the mainland and knew that it was coming our way and wanted to change what would happen. And so the Shine program starts off with some pretty intense COVID training for residents, training for family members, and then training for team members. And that training gets repeated multiple times. And then we ask the team members, will you commit to being a Shine worker? There were so many stories of people abandoning their jobs, walking out on shifts, and they were just so fearful about COVID. So we had a handful of people, actually had a lot of people that said, yeah, I will be a Shine worker. And so there's a mental kind of commitment in saying, okay, you're going to be a Shine worker and we're going to depend on you and you're going to deliver if this happens to us. And they said yes. And then we took those Shine workers and we gave them specialty training, constant communication, repeating the training, and kind of making them very confident in COVID and what to do. And the other thing we did with the staff is constantly reporting what our inventories with PPE and supplies. And every time we would have a class, someone would say, hey, I feel really good. I can handle this. I can't wait to be a Shine worker. And we were like, I hope you'll never be a Shine worker because we don't want COVID to come into the community. But eventually it did, and people did step up, and we didn't have people leaving. And then there was also a group of people in your building that are just so fearful of COVID, and they don't want to be assigned, and that's okay because they have to take care of everybody else too. So I think the training, and I don't mean one training, we would do series of trainings repeating over and over again, very interactive. We had videos, we made our own videos. We had them wash their hands and we would put the chemical on it to see how well they wash their hands. We supervise them and watch them over and over again, but just to increase their own confidence in what was going on. But the constant training, the identifying those individuals to work, and then also the constant communication, because everything was changing so often. We have to continue to communicate what those changes are. And then the other thing, when the state came out, they were very happy and wanted us to share is how we cohorted the building. We obviously had an area in the building that was dedicated to COVID. It had its own entrance and exit. We sectioned it off. In some cases, we sectioned it off with plastic. In some sections, it just was naturally an area that could be. And I think that doing those activities and going above and beyond and showing our Shine workers and showing the staff how much effort and how safe it can be is what led to retention. The other thing is during this time, we never stopped recruiting. We were onboarding and actually we had about 45 or 50 vacancies at the beginning of COVID and over our whole platform. And we have single digit vacancies now. So just the constant training and recruiting over this time is what kind of led to our retention during COVID. And it's easy. You kind of marketed it, right? The Shine program. Are you going to be a Shine worker? Yes, I'll be a Shine worker. And it's very identifiable, you know?
Great. All right, we're gonna have more questions after we hear from Jolene.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Can you guys hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm going to just kind of echo on what Trish said. At Hallerlakino, we're a small community. We're 32 residents, 58 employees. We found that education equals confidence, and kind of echoing on some of the things that Trish said. You know, in the beginning, when the crisis and the pandemic started, and we were seeing what was happening in Kirkland, Washington, and then it expanded over into New York, there was a natural fear that came with the staff. And, you know, the first thing that came out of their mouths were, oh my gosh, we want more money. We want more money. We want $10 more an hour. We want $5 more an hour because COVID's coming. So we had, in the beginning, we had all these fears. And not wanting to work in a skilled nursing center, not wanting to be exposed to COVID. My average workforce is about 58, 59 years old. We just retired someone that was 82 years old last week. And he was a housekeeper, and I have a 84-year-old CNA. And so they were very frightful of COVID. And so for us, we're small, so we're able to get into the trenches. The next day, our DON showed up. We all showed up in scrubs. I'm not a nurse, but we showed up in scrubs. We got out on the floor. It was constant communication with the team, addressing their fears. My door was always open to come and talk to me. They had, they brought ideas, kind of like what we heard from our speaker today is, you know, we want them to come with solutions. And so we just being on the floor, being a constant voice and a visual voice for them, or lending ear for them is what helped. Train, as what Tricia said. It's constant education. It's donning and doffing the PPE. And we all stood out there and we watched every one of them don and doff. And are they doing it correctly? And we would correct. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, we'd go back out there and do it again. And so I think that constant support. We always made ourselves available 24/7. They could call us if, you know, residents started having a temperature and they were starting to get scared that it was something other than just a fever. They were there. We were there for them, and being able to take those calls. Again, being small, we're able to do that, the DON and me and some of the other leadership teams. So education that we did equaled confidence. And, you know, we have our COVID team, like Trish was calling your Shine team. So they're ready, they're trained. We've been very fortunate to be COVID free. We continue to be, and we pray that we continue to be COVID free. We have some of our older CNAs that are very strong in their faith. Every morning she comes to work, she gets her prayer beads out and she's praying over the community. And so again, that morale and that ownership to the community. We are one. We are one. We are interconnected, interdependent of one another. And that is, you know, and having all of that leads to good morale within our team. We boast a little bit. Our average turnover is about 2.5% every year. So during the COVID crisis, we have had zero turnover in our line staff. We did not do pay increases as they were initially threatening that they wanted. We've had no sick calls during the pandemic. We've also told the employees that you can roll over your vacation and you can stockpile it because, you know, no one can go anywhere. We're all trapped on the island right now, and they don't want to take vacation unless they want to do some respite care. So we offer respite care for them, so, you know, so they can take that time off to recharge their batteries. But I have to share with you the number one thing that was the biggest morale booster for our team is this goofy face guard. You guys ever seen these? So I call it, it's like the Hannibal Lecter thing. It's like a dog guard. And you put it on and then you stick your mask on over top. And so what it does, it helps with breathing. But the reason they loved this thing was that what is the number one thing women love to do? And 90% of my staff are women. They love to wear lipstick. And so when you have masks on, you can't wear makeup. And so we got them. These cost me like $3 on Amazon for a pack of 15 or 30. and they got to wear their lipstick, and they put it on, they put their masks on, and we UVL light disinfect our mask. We had been up until the end of October when that process stopped. But it was just a huge morale booster for something so simple that cost us only $3. And they many times they come to my office and they're like, oh, they take their mask off. Jolene, look at my new lipstick. I mean, it's just something little that we did. And, so we, that's what we do for help with our morale and dress up days. And like all of us do, we, family members dropped off bentos. That happened in the very beginning. I think every week they were getting bentos from family members and stuff. So, those are the different things that we've done here at Hollywood Aquino, and anything else I can answer for you. But that's it I had to share.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm super impressed that you didn't do any pay increases. I thought there must have been a magic something. So I'm sure that there must be other questions out there. I'm going to open this up and see what some thoughts are, and what other things people have been trying and sharing. No need to be shy. I know lots of you are doing good work. Any questions for these guys? Anything you're trying? Or Clint, if you have any other thoughts about some of what you've heard so far.
Too. I would say I love what Tricia and Jolene had to say. I think that's very, very key. They've got that down. Educate builds confidence. I think it's absolutely correct. I think that, and if you can name it as a program like Trish did, Shine, you give the chance to be recognized, to be in on the winning team, so to speak. I think that the thing, folks, is that I'm a big believer in this is one big community and we all need to share and learn from each other. At the same time, you do need to beat your competitors. So I say that by not being mean, because I know some of you are listening that are competitors with each other. But if I owned Magic Salsa Sauce, I would certainly be getting it out to get the occupancy I need, to get the branding I need, to get the staff recruitment I need. I love, Tricia, we went from 50 openings down to the teens. I would set the goal, let's get a waiting list of people desperate to get in this place. That's what I would do. The same thing with Jolene over there. I mean, she didn't have any turnover. I'd make sure that everybody stays compass north there and doesn't turn south on you, because it would be well known that I have 5 people that want that job. And so I think it's a chance. I've got many clients across the country that have been able to stabilize staffing. And now we're going to, while our neighbors are unfortunately in trouble, we're going to take their customers. We're going to fill our beds back up because we had a lot of people leave, and or unfortunately in some cases pass away, not of COVID even, or just naturally. I've got a lot of clients that are marketing that we've COVID free and been COVID free. I've got a lot of clients that are marketing as a team that we have rehabbed this many people in COVID. See, the world wants to think people somehow pass away in post-acute care if they get COVID. The truth of the matter is there's been more people rehabbed with COVID in nursing homes and assisted livings and home care than in hospitals. But it's all in how you want to play the cards. So I'm a big believer in, if I've got an advantage, use it. I'm sports analogy. I'm a football fan. If I have a passing game that can beat somebody else's, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I happen to like them. I'm from there. I'm sorry for many of you that you're not, but we have Patrick Mahomes, and they should exploit him, and they should use him. And the rest of the teams we're going to try to maul him, maim him, and get him out of the game. I understand. So I just would say, you want to celebrate, you want to recognize what you're doing well, you want to also use it to your advantage. That's what I would say.
Great. So it sounds like, you guys have been very proactive. You saw it coming and you kind of got a program to sort of preempt this thing. Now, some of our facilities got hit first and, struggled with trying to stop people from leaving. What would you say to if you're at that point? What would your thoughts on advice be?
Well, very quickly, I think Tricia and Jolene might have advice there too, since they're doing pretty well in lowering turnover and keeping turnover out, which is another virus. I think you have to tell people we're going to get on top of it. You have to use those scoreboards. You have to tell them every day, look, we got COVID out of the building. We've been 5 days COVID free. We're doing vigorous testing because we want to do vigorous testing. Not because we have to. We want to wear PPE, and we're excited to catch you wearing it correctly. I mean, I'm not a clinical expert. I don't consult on infection control. I need to remind myself to wash my own hands, so I don't help other people. But I will say that it's pretty evident to me the number one way COVID can happen unintentionally is if I'm bringing a lot of PRN and contract labor people into my building that I'm not demonstrating where they are in a bubble, and so they're working around possibly bringing it in. It's difficult enough not to bring it in if in your own social life and family life. I mean, that's just an unfortunate situation. But I don't need to exacerbate it by bringing in people at expensive dollars that also bring in COVID. I can also tell you, I would be rigorous about my rules. If I have an observation unit, I have clients that needed to get COVID out of the building. They've parked a security guard at the COVID unit that you can't go in and out of the unit. It's worth the money to do that. Now, I realize that that's a drastic step, but we're not going to let people cross-contaminate the building. We're going to have leadership in the building at nights, because in the nighttime, people sometimes want to stray down the hallway to go to the pop machine. And I mean, I'm just being candid with you. You have to be vigorous, and most of your people will appreciate that. They won't be mad at you. They'll be thankful that you're helping follow protocols, procedures, and rules. If it's an observation unit, a COVID unit, don't cross-contaminate people working there. Don't let them come in and out. It's not enough to put plastic up. You might have to put a big dog in front of, I'm kidding, but to keep people from roaming in and out. We have a building that was trying to stay out of COVID and had done it, but they were letting window visits. This is back in July. And that was kind, except the gentleman that came to visit his mother wanted her to pet and hold his brand new puppy. So he took the screen out and let her hold the puppy and gave her a hug. Of course, he worked at the local prison, had COVID, didn't know it, and it got into the building that way. Now, what are we supposed to do? Bar the windows? No, I didn't say we're not supposed to have window visits. I'm just saying we weren't vigilant enough. That's all there was to it. It had nothing to do with anything else. I'm not even blaming the gentleman that wanted to hug his mother and bring the puppy in there. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying, if you're going to run procedures, policies, and protocols, then be vigilant about them. Do not do them half-baked. Do not give people a hall pass on temperature checks. Do not let people wear their, I just working with the building the other day, and they're taking pictures, posting them on Facebook of people not socially distanced, not wearing masks. That's not going to work out well. First of all, that's going to get back to the state authorities. Second of all, no one's going to go to work up there because they're seeing that thing. And third, they thought it was cute. You know, I mean, so no mask, not over the nose. That's a big one. You can do rounds and walk right by people that don't have their mask correctly. Now, again, I'm not an infectious disease expert, nor do I want to be, but I listen to enough of this to be dangerous. So I would say vigilance.
Great. Any other questions from other facilities? Any ideas that you have you think you might want to try? You can type it in the chat box if you're too shy to talk, actually. And I can read it out.
I'll just share, Clint. I got your slides before this presentation, and I was reading about the highly qualified employees and identifying that. And I just want to make a comment that that was a really great idea, and we're implementing it in our strategic planning for next year. But yeah, I thought that was great.
So I had a question. I guess, one of the things that, that strikes me is that this can often raise an atmosphere of fear and anxiety. I was kind of wondering, do you guys use humor at all to combat this fear? Or
yeah, it's really funny. It's been really funny. But I want to mention something, and Jolene brought it up too, is I think what was important is when we first started this, everyone stayed out of the communities, we sealed them up. But when we went through exposure testing at some of our properties, I think it was really important for our corporate office team and our exec team to be at the property immediately, watching everybody doing their donning and doffing, checking them in when we were going through the testing. But I think it's important to send a message to the staff, hey, I'm not scared. I feel comfortable in our protocols and I'm being safe. And if I want you to do it, I'm going to do it too. And so I think that's a really important message. And it sounded like Jolene was doing the same thing. I think it's really important to let the staff know and squelch some of their anxiety when you do that.
Great. Can you please say again what SHINE stands for?
Strength, honest communication. I said it the first time because I had it up. And navigation, I'm gonna look it up now. It's, I haven't had to say what it meant for so long because we just call it SHINE. I'm pulling it up.
But it is a great acronym and it's very visual.
It means support and strength, honest and open communication, influential, navigate, and effectiveness.
You know, I would say that I would have a Shine scoreboard in your building. I would have pictures of flashlights. I would have people that earned a Shine badge or a glow light. I could see an entire theme around that.
That's a good idea.
Right, so did you come up with it or did the staff come up with that?
Actually, our exec team did. Basically, our director of human resources and our director of quality. So what was happening is our director of human resources was like, I'm hearing all these stories and the staff is going to walk out and what are we going to do? And da, 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 and they're so scared. And the director of quality assurance was like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? So those two kind of worked on the whole program and presented it to us, and everyone took a shine to it, and it kind of just became our culture and our verbiage even. You know, oh, you're going to shine training. Oh, you're a shine worker. Oh, sometimes when we were rewriting policies on it, we would say, we got to put a shine on it, you know, because we're changing the policy to adapt to COVID. So it really is part of our lingo.
That's awesome. So other than building confidence, was there a reward for being a Shine worker?
Yes, we paid them double time while they were working. If they had to work and take care of a Shine person, they received double time.
Mm.
And so fortunately, we only ended up taking care of 2 people at one community, but and for a short period of time, and they recovered, so that worked out well.
Great. Okay, so it looks like we got 2 minutes left to go. So I'm gonna just ask John, can you put up the link for the CMEs so that people can click on it when they're done? And anyway, if any of your friends and colleagues at your facilities missed this, these sessions are recorded. So you can certainly let them know and they can listen on their own, or you can listen with them again, or if you want to rewind and get more inspiration, I think that's a good thing. But if you do listen to the recording, we can't offer CMEs for those. So next month, we will have other speakers from Mountain Pacific talk about team building. And so that's another one that you should bring more of your friends on as well. So hopefully today was valuable for everybody. Thank you so much for your presentations and your inspirations. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Jolene.
Thanks.
Thank you.